Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Moriarty the Patriot. It is me, Clockwork and Noodles. We are back, guys, for another amazing episode to break down, sink our teeth into. I am here as your fellow local UK guide to all things British, all things Victorian, telling you guys what to look out for, giving you some more information where you may need them, also breaking down things like colours, flowers, the works, everything. And I've got a lot of notes. I have 6.5 pages of notes. To put that into perspective, a normal video for me takes about 4 notes. So I've gone over by 2.5. I have a lot to say. I got about halfway and I actually thought I wouldn't have too much to say, but then all the good stuff started pouring out and I was like, oh damn it, I need to talk about stuff. I've got a lot to talk about and we have consulted the professor because he was needed a little bit for this. I have a feeling we might need Professor Newman for next episode, but we'll see next week. We also have 3 new faces to talk about. One which does vanish and die, but I want to talk about him anyway because I had some stuff to talk about him. So when we get there, as I do with all new characters, I'm going to talk about their looks, their hairs, what it gives me character design wise, voice actors as well, because both of them have got some interesting links that I found when I did a bit of research. Very excited, let's kick it off. But first things first, I have been very busy. I have created a Discord channel. Please come across. I've got a link hopefully on the screen now. If you are on Discord, come across, join. It is quiet for now, but it will be a place where you can be notified of all new videos going up. I also chat on there occasionally. It's going to be the building blocks of what I aim to achieve in the long run with this channel when we get a little bit bigger, and that is to have a anime community which we can talk about things. This week as well, tagged on to the end of this episode, will be the first video to get the new segment chucked on the end. We will be having the anime question of the week. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be very exciting. This is going to be the first video where I try out a new formula, and hopefully as well you guys like it. I've got a lot of information. Let's kick off with today, and the title for today's episode is The Dancer on the Bridge. We open with some very eerie singing, which made me go, this should have been the Halloween episode. This is a very creepy episode. We have a man, probably homeless, living under the bridge. We see the river is very, very full and it's quite dangerous looking, where the eerie singing grows louder and louder, where we see a girl who is dancing on the edge of the bridge. From what I first saw, it just looks like she willingly jumps off and falls into the river. Later on, the information is given wrong, which gave me more sus towards a certain character, but from what we initially see is she's obviously drugged at this point. She just jumps off. So there's no struggle or anything. Let's now cut back to Durham University. So I'm presuming that most of this season might take place in Durham, which is cool. I don't mind Durham. I've been there grand total of once. I passed through Durham because I was heading to Darlington, so I went a bit further north. Also, if you followed me last season, thank you so much for being a loyal noodling coming back. We have Lucian, guys. Lucian is in this anime. Spelt with an A this time, not an E, but I figured when he was going Lucian, I was like, wait, Lucian's not here. You don't want Lucian to be here. To be fair, in the anime from last season, he was a professor, so I guess Lucian is doing his education. He probably won't become a professor being an aristocrat, but very interesting little link I wanted to make there. And also, if you can tell, I'm quite hyper to do these videos because of how much energy I need to get through it. I literally have to chug a load of cherry Coke because I love cherry Coke. I chugged a load of that. I'm here now with some buzz. I need to use this buzz to power through because this is going to have me editing into the night. I can see it coming. William is, of course, teaching some more of his mathematics. Don't get me to go into maths, guys. Maths is a weak point for me. Where he notices that Lucian is sick and his friend Tate looks very familiar to another character from a completely different anime. And I almost had to do a quick double take. He's very pushy, so William's like, oh, I must come and check out if he's okay, go visit him because I'm his tutor, where he's pushing very, very heavily, going, oh, no, I'm looking after him, it's okay, which I was like, that's a bit sus, are you guys hiding something? And William decides to go and do a bit of research, where he finds out that Lucian and Tate are both from aristocratic families, where Lucian is the heir to the Atwood family, so they're both nobles. Most of the boys in his class are probably nobles, not gonna lie, they have the money to do that. Most of the people in his classroom are definitely going to be tied to a nobility of some sort. We get quite a bit of campus life in this episode, and you can see how different the campus is compared to nowadays campus. Where we see Tate on the bed and he's sneezing, so he's got a cold himself, where he has no clue where Lucian actually is. So he essentially is just covering for Lucian, where we get a knock on the door and William is there and he's like, that's such a sneeze you've got. It's like, oh God, what else did he hear? He knows. It's like, you can't fool Moriarty. There's no lying to Moriarty as a teacher. Try telling him you didn't do your homework, guys. It ain't gonna fly. William can tell from the bed that it hasn't been used in some time and he's like, you should start talking quickly. He's angry, guys. He's angry. It's just the purple light emanating off William at this point, and he's like, I'm 100-fold more cross than you may think, so I am super pissed. I love it. I don't think I'd want him as my tutor. I really don't. So it turns out our boy Lucian has been missing for 3 days. Tate has been so worried that he visited a pub where the girl that Lucian likes used to work, head over heels for her. But he said I was greeted by essentially a bucket of water over the face. We do get a really nice picture. The street that the pub is on is a very stereotypical English street with the cobblestones, and all of the buildings are quite tight, close together with like a lamppost. And in the background, you always see a church. It's very stereotypical of a English street, so a nice little nod to that one there. Tate acts as a bit of a character witness where he says Lucian's actually a very good egg at heart. I'm very worried about my friend. And Moriarty deduces that the harsh welcome that Tate received, aka a bucket of water on the head, means that there's definitely been some trouble beforehand. We do get the Moriarty smirk. To be fair, another character this episode tries to outdo the Moriarty smirk. It came close. I almost gave it to him, but then he died, so I was like, no, you can't have it. Moriarty smirk this season, he is king of the smirk, but Dudley, my friend, you were trying, weren't you? I could tell you were trying. Moriarty tells Tate, stay out of this, I'm going to handle the situation from now on. But he does also say you need to treasure your feelings and your fondness for your friend, which is quite a nice little thing to end on there. Let's meet the new face number 1. He is our big bad for this. I already knew it, and if you guys could see my notes, I really do wish at times you guys could see my notes. And sure, I could take a picture, but I'm not gonna. I have written a lot. Sus. He's so sus. This man is sus. Something about this guy really bothered me. And maybe it's because he didn't open his eyes. I'm sorry. I'm chill, guys. I'm chill. There's always a character in anime who just doesn't open their eyes. Dudley is it. We're going to meet Dudley Bale. He is the administrator for the university. We're going to be hiring after this episode, guys. Anybody want to do the administrator role? He notices that William has came from the dormitories where he inquires, is anything wrong? And I was like, that's a bit suspicious. Why are you poking your nose in? And then William tells him about Lucian. He says that one of the students has gone missing and it's been for about 3 days. And then Dudley says, why don't we look the other way this time? And I was like, that is mega sus, okay? We've gone sus once. I've gone sus twice. Oh, don't worry. The sus keeps on coming. It's going to keep on coming. William's, he's also sus. This here, I'm going to put up William's sus face. He's got a sus face, okay? And you could tell he's suspicious of Dudley immediately. And it's the William Moriarty suspicious face. This is it. This is the face. And you can tell he's suspicious. He's like, well, 3 days is a tad unusual. Perhaps we should call the police. Where Dudley says, I can't concur. He is a son of nobility and involving the police may reflect badly upon the family. Yes and no. If it's turned out that William has ran away for any reason, it would reflect very poorly upon the family. It's a bit of a disgrace to have a son run away or elope in this sense, which I did think they were going to head down that route initially. They don't, so it's fine. As well, only if he's done something wrong. So if it turns out done something bad, and obviously the police find this out, that is when it would reflect badly on the family. So the fact that he's trying to push the police out of the situation, so I initially thought he had a good point. I was like, actually, that's not actually a good point. Dudley, my man, take another sus to the face. That is sus count now 3. We're going to have a sus counter. William says, so should we leave this matter alone? Where Dudley goes, I've actually got some influence with the local police, so let me take matters into my own hand and districtly look into it. Ending again, my friends, the William Moriarty sus face is back because he himself, like me, very suspicious of Dudley. Do not like Dudley. I just, something about him. Maybe the fact that he doesn't open his eyes. I'm sorry, I'm back again. I'm back. Despite Dudley's reassurance, William decides, screw it, I'm going to go to the pub anyway, because he could be going for a stiff drink. He's not. William goes to the pub to find our owner, and he does tip her for some information, and she even says that's quite some tip for information on a dead girl. This tip is big, guys, and I did some magical research because we're here for some information. The penny William has given the woman It's gold, so I managed to have a look at the currency at the time and pinpoint exactly what he has given her. This is a Victorian sovereign, aka a pound. It's not the same pound as the pounds I carry around in my purse, even though I don't carry money around anymore because COVID. So the head on the back, the way it's written, and the fact that it's got a full-on sentence as well with the Britannia bit, it looks the same. Okay, I'm going to give them kudos for it looking the same. The sovereign is the biggest value coin you can get hold of. It is gold, so it is a big tip. Right, are you guys ready to find out how much a gold sovereign nowadays is worth? Because it is gold, it is made out of gold. This is 2014, so you can add a little bit more to that price. Or don't down because of Brexit, maybe. Fluctuation. Who knows? It is worth £348. Yes, the gold sovereign, what Moriarty is bribing information from this woman, is worth that much. Of course, at the time period, it would still be worth a lot. It wouldn't be worth as much as I'm saying now. It's a very expensive coin he's tossing around. She asks him, are you a newspaper reporter? Where he reveals, no, I'm just a teacher from Durham University. If there's an issue with any of my students' conduct, it is my duty to set it right. So we get some lowdown on the girl. Her name is Frida. Frida was a very good dancer. She was very, very popular. And we do find out as well that the old man who was under the bridge that we first saw, I did think he might come back and he didn't. He really is just a witness. So he acts as a witness because he saw her dancing off the bridge. She had fallen in love with Lucien, who had then proposed to her, but again, noting that class system rearing its ugly head, which is definitely the underlying theme for the entire anime, is the class system. A aristocrat really can't be with a girl of her standing. She was even pregnant, so it got worse. I was like, oh no, it's getting worse. Oh no, it's getting worse. It's a very bad situation. As soon as I found out that he proposed and she was pregnant, I was like, oh no, someone's going to try and bump her off. Which is pretty much me nailing it on the head as well, because this kind of stuff doesn't end well. And I've heard this story quite a few times. So I've even said, as expected, she was abandoned. So naturally, somebody told her that, you know, this is it, calls it all off. Where she says, I'm going to raise a child on my own. And then she died. And I was like, that's a bit suspicious. Where William says, I now know what must be done. I will resolve this matter. The bribe is returned, where she tells him she's buried in a potter's field where you can use the money to put some flowers on her grave. To be fair, that would buy some really nice flowers. William looks down at the bridge where he's kind of looking at I'm guessing where the man was hiding, and he kind of just looks down for a bit, which is where I got led down a red herring. So again, I wish you could see my notes. I take notes as I go along, so this is incorrect. I know this is incorrect, but I did even say, did she fake her death to be with her lover Lucien? And they've obviously gone off and flitted away, and that's why Dudley doesn't want people to dig around, because obviously it brings shame to the family because he's run off with a lower class person. That isn't the case, but it is a route they could have gone down. So it's definitely a viable route. We then see, I didn't even realise it was Dudley at this point, I'm sorry, because the way the light was, and they colour popped a little bit as well, I didn't realise and put two and two together that this is Dudley sitting in front of the checks. We see some Victorian checks. Now, I said that the sovereign was the highest amount value coin you can get. Now, obviously, we get notes in most currencies. You've got notes. Victorian checks or notes, big notes, were checks. There is no big notes in the Victorian period. There's no notes. If you watch the first Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. in it, there's a bit where he's boxing. See Irene Adler, she places a huge amount of money and everyone bets on Sherlock. We see the money thrown around is checks. It's these bits of paper, and that you get a proper, if you've seen that movie, you'll probably know the scene I'm referring to. That is 100% accurate. They definitely use bits of paper. Instructing the bank, you will pay £3,000 to Dudley, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully you guys have actually watched to the end of the actual episode. We know that this is the bribe money. So he's sitting in front of very big amounts of money, and they're all on multiple slips. They're all signed off by different aristocratic names. Big money is always on a big slip of paper, and it would always be dealt with by the bank. So one of my tutors at university was a professor of money and economics. So she studied the history of money. All of your money that you're carrying around, mainly your notes, mainly just notes, it's actually worthless. Your money is a promise. It's only value because you give your money to, say, a shop vendor, and they take it as on goodwill. You buy something for £10, you exchange it for equal goods. They then give it to the bank, and they presume on equal good faith that it is worth that much. So it is the same again with the Victorian era, where we can see a little bit actually easier. Even on the check we see on the table, it says, I promise to pay the bearer of this £3,000, blah, blah, blah. That comes from the bank. A segue to my history tutor and a bit more information on me at university and one of my kind of tutors. I found her area of history was very interesting to me. Like, it never occurred to me that the study of money would be so interesting. We then see Lucian. So we actually see Lucian in a room. I didn't realise it was Dudley. I don't know why I didn't realise, but it's Dudley. And Dudley tells him that, I'm sorry, she died, she fell into a river. He says she died and then fell into the river. But I just find it a bit odd because I said the ordering's a bit wrong. We technically saw her jump, dance off the bridge, and then she would have died. So he technically had the order backwards, which I was sus of Dudley's from day one. I didn't like him. I was racking up the sus points. Give it another sus point to the counter, Becca, please. I don't know where the sus counter is on screen. I hope she's put one on. Where he says, you need to stay here until your emotional wounds have healed. And he does look out of it. Lucian looks completely out of it. And I did go, it's a possibility he's on drugs. Didn't make the link that it was opium, but I don't know enough about opium as a drug. The anime really doesn't want us, the audience, you, the viewer, to like Dudley at all. I mean, look at this evil smile, this grin. This is the grin that gave the William Moriarty smirk a run for its money this episode. If this guy hadn't died, he would have probably taken the crown, but because he's dead, he's out the running. He can no longer be the evil smirk of the anime season. This is when it gets very interesting, where William instructs my boy Lewis. Haven't seen my boy Lewis this episode, so give me a second to fawn over him. I love him. He's so beautiful. He instructs him, send a telegram. And we just get some beautiful smoggy skyscapes. And we know how much I love skyscapes. The skyscapes in this anime specifically, they are there for world building. They're there to make sure you guys are remembering how the atmosphere, the world you're in, it is grimy. It is this industrial era. There's smog being churned out by factories. It is grimy. It is dirty. We are in the London's underbelly, the gruesome bits, the not so nice parts of London. But I love it. We get this beautiful smoggy skyscape. New face number 1. I'll give him a name in a moment. This is because I had written it and they didn't give us the names off the bat. New face number 1 is sitting overlooking it's a really nice little scene where we've got the lighting, where the lighting is dappled and diffused as it's coming through the smog. So we haven't got direct lighting because there is smog and there's stuff in the way. So it's stopping the particles of light coming through. So it's diffusing it. It's acting like a diffuser. So we've got a very soft light going on. The anime knows what it's doing. The anime is clever. The team behind this anime know what they're doing. And the light falling on new face number 1, air quotes, I'll give it to you in a bit because I'm going to do an actual character breakdown. So we're not quite there yet. It looks nice. The lighting on his face looks absolutely amazing. And I don't know where he's sitting, though. I presume we're still in London at this point. New face number 2. We open on a smoggy, grimy back alley. You can see there's washing hanging in the alleyways. We are in the grimy underbelly of London. We are just simply world building. And it really is doing a bit of world building where we obviously get a very dirty, messy room. Typical Victorian bed as well. The bed in that room was very typical Victorian. The bed I have is actually styled off a Victorian design, so go me. We cut to a halfway point with Lewis and daffodils. The daffodils I need to talk about. And if you guys followed my Koi to Producer series, and I was constantly going into daffodil breakdowns and flower breakdowns, the language of flowers actually comes back from like the Victorian period, and many flowers do have meaning. I don't normally talk about the cutscenes in Moriarty just because normally most of the time it's William having tea or something. This one took my interest because daffodils, and you guys are going to know exactly why it took my interest as soon as I say this. Do you know what daffodils symbolize, guys? They symbolize new beginnings, rebirth. Also, a single daffodil basically spells misfortune. You never give somebody a single daffodil. Also, this is fun, the daffodil during the Victorian period was a symbol of chivalry. I love it so much. Today, they basically symbolize hope, but they are a spring flower, aka they symbolize a rebirth, the beginning of a new season, a new year. I found that just perfect for Lewis. To be fair, it could have fitted any of the 3 brothers because obviously they all take a new beginning and they all rebuild themselves. First things first, we'll quickly talk about the steam train because I know some of you guys really appreciated having Professor Newman floating around. I am so lucky. I'll get to name drop him again. He's so lucky. He's getting so many name drops from me. Obviously we saw a steam train, so I basically sent him the same picture and went, hey, is this the same steam train? And he said to me, He said, of course, it's the same steam train. The coaches are still wrong. So the front bit of the train, the bit you're seeing with the smoky bit, that bit, that is correct. That bit is a real thing. The coaches where the people sit, wrong. So we ignore that bit. I would have given him a 50-50 pass. However, he did say that it looks more like a later variant of the Rover class. Some more details, which probably won't mean anything to you guys, but it might if you are that way inclined to your mechanic. The smoke box has a straight side, which leads to the cylinders instead of having a flare out at the top. There you go. Some nice information for you guys. We thank him for his time. We have a feeling that he might be playing a big part during next episode, but we will see, because Professor Newman's very big interest, and same as me as well, is the Titanic. Whether the next episode, because obviously we see a ship, it isn't a Titanic, but it's also not a real ship. We'll get there when we get there. That's going to be the end section. But we might be seeing a bit more of him. Now, greeted by William and Lewis, we now get to see our new faces. And new faces means I need to do a bit of a breakdown, and I'll do a voice actor breakdown. Let's start with new face number 2, which is Colonel Moran. Oh, I thought I liked this guy, but then I don't like this guy. I like Lewis more. Moran was after my heart, and I was like, no, I must steel myself. But he's a good-looking man, okay? He's a good-looking man. Moran has black hair. It's long. It's a bit wild. He's also got a bit which sticks over his face on one side. The wild hair gives me a feeling that he's a very wild, rebellious, carefree, free-going, easygoing character. It's quite messy as well, which definitely gives me a bit more of that boisterous side to him. I have noticed that one side is hanging over, I think it hangs over his left-hand side of his face. This is just stylized. He cares about appearances to a sense. His dark eyes as well. He's got very dark eyes, which is quite nice. He wears dark colours, so maybe hinting at a darker side to him. To be fair, he's carrying around a very nice shotgun. I'll make a nice link to another anime airing this season a bit later on with him. The sharp eyebrows giving me a bit more of a cocky, maybe a sharp personality. Definitely comes across as cocky to me. Also, obviously, we saw him with a woman at the start. We see him with women during the episode. More of a womanizer, definitely very popular with the women. To be fair, I thought he was quite good looking. The voice actor got my attention more because I really recognised the voice actor. So, the VA for Colonel Moran, if you must know, is Satoshi Hino. Which is fantastic. We get to make a link here to Demon Slayer, guys. And as well, congratulations, Demon Slayer, for how well you done with the box office. And we had the Mugen Train, which literally broke the box office. Funny enough, a certain guy who appears in the movie, Rengoku, is Satoshi. So Satoshi is Rengoku. I thought that was quite a nice thing because it's currently a very hot topic anime at the moment in the anime world. So I figured I'd bring that there. He is also Ainz from Overlord. So I think it might have been that. Vinland Saga as well, because I am currently working on a Vinland Saga cosplay of Canute. He is Willibald. And he is a drunk guy. He's essentially the drunk guy who then suddenly loses his beard and is like, what? Is this the same guy? But yes, that is Satoshi Hino. Let's now move on to new face number 1, which is Fred. Fred's hair is still messy, but it is more controlled. It's not as long as his counterpart Moran. And I think it shows a bit more of a reserved nature. So the eyes as well are quite dark. They're a browny colour. From his character design, I kind of got he's an introvert, he's not an extrovert. I think Moran is more of an extrovert, whilst Fred is an introvert. I get this more hidden, secretive, quiet nature from Fred. Definitely already got that. Surprised to see him in a dress this episode, but I can see why they did it. He has a scarf and a suit jacket, but he's wearing a shirt with no tie, which is quite nice because it's formal but informal, and that's all I've got from him right now. But very interesting to see his design. We also learnt that Fred was the one who arrived first. So he was called up and then Moran followed. The voice actor for Fred is, here it goes, Yuimura Yuto. Currently airing this season, I'm watching it, but I am not releasing on it, I'm standing on 1,000 or 100 lives. They keep changing the number. At one point, I thought it was 1,000,000 lives. So he's playing in the role of Yusuke. He is the main character in I'm Standing on 1,000,000 lives. It is a currently airing anime. It is an isekai, but it is quite fun. So I don't like isekai, guys. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not really a fan of them. I find them quite boring. A few of them are quite samey. But I'm Standing on 1,000,000 lives. It's definitely a very interesting one to watch. I'm enjoying it. Definitely recommend it if you've got a bit of free time to check it out. Now something a bit more close to my heart, because the third and final season, part 1, is airing in December. Attack on Titan, my baby, I love it. I really want to release on it, but I'm just going to get buried by the bigger YouTubers, sadly. He is Eren's daddy. He is Grisha. He is playing Grisha Jaeger. Really the most important thing here, for Finn from Vinland Saga. He is the main character in Vinland Saga, aka Moran and Fred are both the Vinland Saga boys. They have both acted together before in Vinland Saga. Very good anime, very gruesome though, so if you're not into your gritty historical animes, probably not for you. If you are watching this anime and you like historical animes, definitely check it out, because the level of accuracy and details in that anime probably even rivals Moriarty, to be fair. As I said before, Fred was called up first. He has somehow, I don't know how he's done it, he has located our boy Lucien, who is drugged. So he is on opium, opium being a drug that, we had opium wars, so we had wars with China over opium. Big thing there, not going into opium wars too much, do not know enough about it. Definitely an area of history, don't really know enough about to give you guys too much information. But again, you can definitely get resources online if you want to study a bit more on the wars with China. We find out that there might not be a client for this job, but we see William staring at the pound coin in his hand, which was going to be used as a bribe. He says, let's go and deliver some punishment. I love that bit to bits. We now get the return of the red light. You guys know what the red light means. We know things are getting a bit spicy. We get a misty scene of the pub in the street where the lights are coming out red. We see Moran playing like the devil and dominating at cards, where he starts to piss off the men who think he is cheating. One of them goes in to attack the guy, and Moran swiftly pushes him to the floor. In a very smooth fashion, I would not get into a fight with this guy, where he mentions and references the battlefield. This, to me, I think is a little slight nod towards Watson from the Sherlock Holmes series themselves. If you know a bit about Watson, he is from a military background. I do believe that Moran as well has a military background. Hopefully we get to find out a bit more about that. Please do not spoil just yet. Now that we've got these characters here, we need to slowly let the anime do the explaining for us. And you guys are pretty good with that though. I don't think you guys have spoiled anything for me, which is nice. To be fair, you guys have helped me out. I know I got very excited. I was like, Sherlock's in this next episode, and he wasn't. It's actually Moran. I do want to see Sherlock. I really hope he is going to appear at some point, just because Mal has him as a main character, so I am expecting him to appear. We are approaching the halfway point for season 1, and no Sherlock Holmes just yet. As the men leave, because they've had their asses whooped by Moran, we can see that the women love him, the more womanizing aspect. He's a bit of a flirt. He decides to use that money for a different sort of fun, if you get my drift. Although, to be fair, I think it was a strategic move on his part, because he needed that window. Strategic move, but again, he's had some fun in the process. We get more red light as Lucien comes to on a bench, and he's sat near the river. This is all part of the plan, all according to Keikaku, guys. Dudley comes running into the scene, and he is really unfit. I have to comment on how unfit this man is. Where he's like, did you summon me? Are you going to confess your crimes? And after I spent so much time trying to clean up on you, and I was like, this is a bit sus. Add another one to the sus counter. I ducking knew it. I knew it along. I had my eye on this guy. He's like, how did you get out of your room? How could you get a common woman pregnant? Dudley was the one who broke it off with Frida, so he's the one who made her cry in the streets, and where he continues to trash talk her. The colour starts to drain from the scene, so as we're seeing it from Lucien, so Lucien's probably getting the colour drain from him as he realises what's actually gone on, which is quite ironic, because the colour drains from the sequence. He starts to look shocked and surprised, because he starts to put 2 and 2 together himself. Somebody comes out the river, and I really do think this should have been a Halloween episode, because it was a bit creepy just seeing someone coming out the river, and we start to hear the eerie singing as well. I was like, oh, this is creepy. I have to say, Dudley's voice actor really sounds familiar. There's no information on Mal. If you guys have any information on that, please pop it down below. Just because he sounds really familiar, and I can't put a finger on who it is. The eerie singing as Frida starts to walk towards them. Oh my god. I know it's Fred, guys, but oh my god, it's so freaky. It's so freaky. I don't like it. This frightens Dudley. And he's like, but you're supposed to be dead. I drugged you and you fell to your death into that river. There is our crime confessed, guys. Crime is confessed. Where William appears in like this half capey cloak type thing. Who's so creepy. Even he looks quite creepy at this point. We find out it's Fred in a dress. we get that red light again, and the fog is super heavy. So that's why they got away with the double. Because the fog is so thick, they were able to use the slim build of Fred, because I believe I'm guessing he's a very young boy. There's not a lot of info on him online, to be fair. And plus, I don't want to dig too deep because I don't want spoilers. William has cleverly tricked Dudley into confessing his sins. He freaked out when he saw Frida. William James Moriarty, crime consultant, called you out. It turns out that Dudley is running multiple brothels under the tag hospital, which allows him to deal in drugs, aka opiums or opiates, where he pretends they're all for a medical purpose. He lures in the rich noble boys to have some fun, muck around with some stuff, and then he demands money from the families to cover up their crimes, say nothing. So aka he's buying the silence, so he's making money from luring these guys into a situation anyway. We also find out that he sets fires, then he will offer services as a fire brigade. So he's making money off bad things that he himself is doing. So he's quite a dastardly character indeed. Where Dudley says, "Do you intend to turn me over to the police?" Because we already know that he's got influence in the police. He said that himself earlier on in the episode. William says, "No, I'm not going to turn you over. You are going to taste the evil that comes from driving Frida to her death. You will dance in a frenzy, then take your own life." Where as soon as the first bullet went past Dudley, I was like, oh no, it's Moran. Because obviously he mentioned the fact that he had a military background and he had a gun. That case earlier was definitely a gun. Currently, an episode, if you are following me, every week. Tomorrow's release, actually. Monday, Tuesday's release on the channel is the 3rd season of Golden Kamuy. We have another sniper in that who I am quite obsessed with. I'll put the image hopefully up here. I was going to say, because he wasn't hitting Dudley, I was going to say he's no headshot Ogata. Ogata from the Golden Kamuy is our headshot king. He is a sniper king. I think as well, if there's any top 10 snipers in anime, Ogata needs to be on that list, guys. He really does. He headshots everybody. To be fair, I think Moran is basically firing wildly to get this guy to dance. His aim isn't to actually kill him and not shoot him. He just wants to get this guy to fall off the bridge. Initially, I was going to slag him off for his really bad firing and his bad aim, but that is the point. That's the point here. He's not supposed to be hitting him, so he might not be Ogata, but maybe the two can be friends. Who knows? Also, to note that we see some scars on Moran's body as he's shooting out the room, noting that he's also using a silencer not to wake up the girl that he slept with, and he is firing from her room. So obviously, I did say earlier, I think it was a bit strategic. He might have wanted to sleep with her anyway, but he needed that room because he had a clear shot of the bridge. He fires multiple shots at him, which forces Dudley to dance to avoid the bullets, so he's trying not to get hit, where he starts to dance with death. This bit, I guess, is I didn't quite get what he was dancing with. I think it was more the representation that he was dancing with his death. And then he falls to his death into the raging river. End of that. As he falls down, we see some colour popping again. The colour in Death's eyes is this purple colour. We see his bright green kind of colour plopped. When it comes to Moriarty the Patriot, they use colour popping to stylize most of the time. Most of the time, it's just because it looks cool. Normally, you'd colour pop something. We've seen my picture of the apple. I'm bringing your attention to the apple. I want you to look at the apple. In this, it's not so much I want you to look at Death's eyes. I want you to look at Moriarty's eyes or William's eyes. It's more they're using it because it does look good. Colour popping looks good. I do think the falling to the death sequence as well, I've mentioned it a few times with the ending. Falling to the death down the river, down falls, Easter egg, I do believe they are making a little nod to the Reichenbach Falls section where Moriarty in the books falls down to his death down the Reichenbach Falls because Sherlock can't beat him. He pushes him off the cliff and they both fall to their demise. It's not canon, so make sure you remember that this isn't canon. In the actual series, the Sherlock Holmes series by Arthur Conan Doyle himself, William Moriarty only has one brother and he is a colonel. So I think I got a bit of grief initially from episode 1 just calling him Moriarty. It's because that is essentially what they call him in the books. So most of the time there was only one Moriarty in the book, so we called him Moriarty. The end sequence, we see Frida has a new headstone and she's now got cemetery status, which is really, really nice. You are talking to the cemetery historian here. I can tell you a bit about that. The headstone has been bought by Lucien, where he's laying flowers for her. Note, he is laying daffodils. Again, the rebirth, the hope, the new beginnings. The daffodils have come back, which is quite nice. In the Victorian period, graves, burials within a cemetery, there's that religious aspect as well, but it cost money. So to be buried in a cemetery, you would need some money to get yourself buried. Bigger headstones as well. Poor people did not even dare thinking about a headstone like this. So she's quite a lucky girl to have a nice headstone. Very nice to see that he did truly love her, which is really, really nice to see. Also, it is quite a sad, tragic tale. I think as they're being watched by the four a bit further back, they do say it's a tragic story of two victims who fell in love, but they are victims of the country's class system as well, that they could never be together. In another life, in nowadays as well, they could happily be together, but sadly not at that period. They are simply victims of the class system. It's a really good episode, guys. Next week, we have the adventure of the Noetic, Act 1. So we've got another split episode coming up. I cannot wait. It has indeed been a fantastic episode. I have had a lot of fun. I always get so excited and nervous and anxious when it comes to Moriarty's videos. Obviously, there's a lot going on. I always feel like these videos are the heaviest on the channel to do. So it's very nice to see that you guys definitely enjoying the content. I have so much fun making them. I thought this episode was very, very clever. I liked a lot of the details coming up. I liked the attention to detail. Very excited to see 2 new characters added to the roster. I like me some new characters. Me. Love it, love it, love it. So it's going to be exciting to see what becomes of these new characters. Lewis is my top boy. I wasn't looking at Moran, I promise. I wasn't, guys. You can't prove anything. Because I've got a new segment to do, let's quickly go over the release schedule and then the new segment on the channel. So Sunday, Monday, Moriarty the Patriot. You guys know, you guys love it. Tuning in for that more Victorian English goodness as we uncover dastardly deeds and crimes. Monday to Tuesday is Golden Kamui. 3rd season, come on, check it out. We have fun. It's a bit more of a comic relief, that one. Great, it's a great, perfect lineup after having a heavy episode on the Monday. Ikebukuro Westgate Park, Wednesday mornings. And you guys can continue downvoting. I see you guys downvoting. Noodles taking its place Thursday mornings. Absolutely love Noodles. It's definitely a slow burner for me. Getting very interesting right now. Friday is Journey of Elena. Definitely the most prettiest anime of the season. So plenty of fun going on. Right, guys, the new segment. This week's anime question. I'm going to be asking you an anime question. Please feel free to comment your answers down below. I will be picking from all the 4 videos I release, so I'll be doing it from all of them. I'll pick one answer from all of them. I will be picking my favourite answer. This week's question: who is your favourite red-headed anime character? When it comes to next week, I'll pick my favourite answer with you guys. I will tell you my favourite character and why. So, gonna have some fun with it. This is what we want. We want this channel to be a bit more interactive. Do make sure you guys head over to Discord, give it a like, join the channel, which is growing very steadily. You also get updates on the video releases. I can't do it on YouTube. I haven't hit enough of a viewership to get that access, so can't do that quite yet. But do make sure you are subscribed, ring the bell, and give me a like if you guys learned anything new today. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.